Everybody's online.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's
everybody's
shopping.
shopping.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I did some
I
Black
did some
Friday
Black Friday
shopping
shopping
already.
already.
I don't know about
Yeah,
you,
I don't know about
right?
you,
Have you
right?
seen
Have
all
you
the Black
seen
Friday
all the Black
offers? I mean,
Friday
you just
offers? I mean,
launched
you
your
just
Black
launched your
Friday
Black
offer
Friday
too,
offer
right?
too, right?
I did. I did. I'm surprised that I haven't seen a lot of Black Friday offers like in the online entrepreneurship sphere. I feel like previous years we were like on the dot. Monday morning we were bombarded with those, but I haven't really. So I'm thinking that maybe most people are waiting until Friday. So I'm waiting. I'm trying to see what everybody has. It's an exciting season. I really love this season.
Yes, I
Yes,
love this
I love this
season
season
as
as
well.
well.
And so,
And
speaking
so,
of Black
speaking of Black
Friday, why don't we
Friday,
just
why don't we
get
just get
into the
into the
content on
content
content
on content
creation?
creation?
So Meta.
So Meta.
And speaking of
And speaking
Meta,
of
we are
Meta, we
now
are now
on
on
Facebook,
Facebook,
which is
which
now
is
called
now
Meta,
called
which
Meta, which
it
it
just
just
hilarious to
hilarious
me,
to
right?
me, right?
Facebook
Facebook
calling
calling
themselves
themselves
Meta.
Meta.
Right? Out of
It's
all
so
names.
So
meta.
Meta.
Well, as you
Well,
can
as you can
see, for
see,
those of
for
you
those
who
of
are joining
you who are
live, or
joining
for those
live,
of
or for
you who are
those of you who
catching
are
the
catching the
replay, I get
replay, I
it.
get
Right?
it. Right?
Thanksgiving is
Thanksgiving is
happening.
happening.
But this is a
But this
good
is a
one to
good one
watch
to
on the
watch on the
replay while you're
replay while you're
cooking
cooking
Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving
dinner or what
dinner
have
or what
you.
have you.
Um,
Um,
we are here
we are
today
here
with
today
my
with
very
my
good
very good
friend, Dr.
friend,
Linda
Dr. Linda
Enoh, who
Eno,
is
who
a
is a
um. I have a
I have a
scholar for
scholar
you.
for
Look at
you.
this.
Look at this.
Ooh.
Dr.
Wow,
Linda
look at
Enoh,
that.
Eno,
former
Fancy.
college
college
professor
professor
turned
turned
content
content
strategist.
strategist.
And
Wow,
she's
I feel
going to
like I'm on
show
TV.
Show
you,
you.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's going to
she's
show
gonna
you
show
her
you her
proven
proven
content
content
strategy
strategy
system.
system.
And when I say
And when I say
system, it
system,
is
it is
truly a
truly a
system. If
system.
you know
If you
about
know
me
about
and my
me
love
and
about
my love
systems,
about
this is why
systems,
you're
which is why
probably
you're probably
here
here
in a room
in a room
called
called
Business
Business
Optimization
Optimization
Systems and
Systems and
Strategies.
Strategies.
You love
You love
systems about as
systems
much
about
as
as much
me, or
as
you
me, or you
understand that
understand that you know
that
that
systems is
systems
where you
is
need
where
to
you
be to
need
take
to
your
be to
business to
take
the
your business
next
to the next
level. And
level.
I will
And I
tell
will
you,
tell you,
Linda
Linda
is
is
um
um
she's just a
she's
boss
just a
at
boss at
systems, and I'll
systems,
let
and
her
I'll let
introduce
her introduce
herself.
herself.
But
But
she is
she
a
is a
mom of
mom of 4
4 kids. I
kids.
mean,
I
one with
mean, one
special
with
needs,
special needs,
a set of
a set of
twins.
twins.
Yeah.
So,
So,
for
for
anyone
anyone
who
who
doesn't get
doesn't
systems or
get
why you need
systems or why you
systems,
need
I mean,
systems, I
Linda
mean,
is
Linda
your girl.
is your girl.
She's,
Like she's,
and then I want
and then
you to
I want
start
you
off
to
with
start off
telling
by
your
telling your
backstory of how
backstory of
you
how you
fell into this
fell into this
content strategy
content
niche. 'Cause
strategy
for
niche.
those of
Because for
the
those of
people in the
the
audience
people in
who
the
don't
audience who
know
don't
you,
know you,
and
and
how you
how
got
you
your
got
like in your
your
90 day
your 90-day
content
content
system
system
really at a
really
point in
at
your
a
life
point in your
where
life where
it was
it
a life or
was a
death
life or death
moment for you.
moment for
I'm not trying
you.
to be
I'm
super
not trying to be
dramatic,
super
but
dramatic,
you
but
need to
you need to
understand that
understand that
your business
Dun dun
needs to
dun.
run. Your business
run.
needs
Your
to
business
run
needs
whether
to
you're
run
there
whether
or
you're
not
there or
there.
not
Yeah.
And Linda
And Linda
created a content
created a
strategy
content
that allowed
strategy
her
that
to
allowed
show up
her
on
to
social
show up on
media
social
when
media
she
when
wasn't
she
well
wasn't
enough
well enough
to
to
be
be
present.
present,
And her business
and
didn't
her
skip a
business didn't
beat.
skip a beat.
And
And
with that,
with
go ahead
that,
and
go
take it
ahead and
away and
take it away and
share with us your
share with
story.
us your story.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me, Kylie. It's always such a joy to chat with you because our brains connect with systems and we just geek out of those like to-do lists and automation and stuff like that. So
Yes.
I'm super excited to be here. But yes, just like Kylie said, I used to be a college professor. I used to teach hospitality, tourism, business classes, and all of that. And I loved it. I really love to teach. I love my students. And it was very hard for me to leave academia because I really loved it. But I wanted to have a little more flexibility and less, I would say less limits on the things that I wanted to do. And I knew that I wanted to go full time on my business. And at that time, I really wanted my business to be about travel. And so I had started a travel blog. And just for the love of travel, I really love to talk about travel. And so I went full time, left my job in academia in order to really monetize my business. But at the time when I left academia, I had already shifted from travel to more of a goal setting because I'm very planning, I'm very step by step. It just in my general life. And so it comes very easy to me to just plan things and set goals and all of that. So I wanted to help other people to live their jobs in a very strategic way.
Yes.
And so obviously success didn't come like that. It never does, right?
Right.
And when I left after that, I found out that I was pregnant. Well, found out is a little understatement because everything is planned. But I was, yeah. Um, so I was pregnant with my twins, with my girls. And that pregnancy was just like horrible. Like, yes, I enjoy being pregnant, but I really don't. It's a means to an end for me because it was well when you are I think I was 36 already at that time, and so it's high risk because it's twins and because you're already close to 40 and all of that, so you get like weekly appointments and stuff like that. But basically, just not to go into the gross part of pregnancy, but you're throwing up all day long, and so I couldn't really stay in front of a computer for the whole day like I used to before. And so I had to find a way to make it work. And I developed a content plan. And again, at that time, I wasn't a content planner per se. That wasn't my title. I developed my content plan out of necessity because
Yeah.
I needed to plan in advance. I'm good at planning, but I had to be strategic at it. It wasn't just wishful thinking, oh, let's plan this thing and wish it worked. It had to be very strategic to the day. What am I going to put out there every single day and why? Because as an Enneagram 3, I like to set goals, but I want to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I like efficiency. So if you
Right.
give me
Right.
if you give me a task, I want to know why we're doing this thing before I start doing it. So
Right.
I'm always interested in the okay, why am I going to plan this content? And so that's why I always tell my clients, you always have to start with the goal because most people will go into, oh, let's plan the content. I'm going to talk about this, and that. But if it doesn't lead anywhere, that's where the frustration comes in because there was no goal. So I always start with the goal. Okay, what was the goal? How much money I wanted to make every month, and then reverse engineer the whole thing. Okay, from the goal, what are the offers, and then down to okay, what kind of content do I put out there to reach that goal? And I didn't start with that process at first, just to be honest, because you always refine your process. That's the process that I have now and master it. But at first, I just wanted to have content planned and scheduled. So
Right.
I put it on pen and paper, like those big whiteboards that you get at the paper store or Walmart, and I just wrote like I did a calendar by hand, Monday to Sunday. For I think the first calendar that I had was a month and a half, and then I did 3 months. And then so I just wrote it down, put it on an Excel sheet, and told my VA to schedule it for me, and she
Yeah.
did. Yeah, so that's how I started with my first system, and that content was going out on autopilot for me while I was getting my C-section, while I was having, how do you say that in English again? Hemorrhage or something like that. I don't know. Like the post surgery was a little traumatic, but oh well. Thank
Yeah.
God it everything went well. But it was really harsh. It was really harsh, and even after that, going through postpartum depression because my mom was here, but then she couldn't stay for long because she lives abroad. And then when she left, all those negative thoughts came in and anxiety. And I've never been an anxious person, but it just started kicking in after my twins were born. So even through all that process, content was going out for me. So I was able to be visible and serve my audience without being there, which I'm extremely grateful for.
Great, great. Okay, so I am having technical difficulties on
Uh-oh.
my end.
On Be Live or Clubhouse?
On live, let's see. Yeah, well, I'm just not. This is fun.
Gotta love technology.
Okay, yeah. People cannot see my face or anything. Your video is working now, but mine is not. I don't know if the folks on the live stream can hear me, but even if you can't see me, I'm here in spirit. But what I wanted to say is that, if you didn't hear anything in Linda's story, right? She was incapacitated. She couldn't function. She
Yeah.
she dropped all of her content onto an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, this is something that everybody has access to. I know that I talk a lot about different tools and apps that you can use, but this was an Excel spreadsheet that was given to a VA, which I tell you guys all the time. Let's outsource, right? Give it to a team member, and that person went ahead and did it.
Yeah.
And then I know right now you have an awesome, content person on your team, a social media manager on your team.
Yeah.
And in your honest opinion, do you feel like you hired up? Like you hired someone who was a specialist and was able to do the job better than you were doing it on your own?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I always recommend people do, like I hired my first VA before I was making any money. I was paying her with the money that I was making as a professor. So,
I did that too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like before I was making any money from my business, I needed that system in order to make money in my business because I had a full-time job. I already had two toddler boys, and when you're in education, you bring the work at home. You grade papers, you do study plans, you do all these things. So it's not like it was a 9 to 5 per se. Um, I still had to work at home. I would commute an hour and a half each way to go to work. And so it was a lot of work. And I needed to do what only me could do. And at that time was to plan the content. And actually, I still have those boards. They're like all banged up. But those are actually, I call them the Beasts. There's like Beast 1 and Beast 2, second edition. And I always keep those because they're a reminder of how it started. And that's how it was. It was on paper. It was the type of posts and putting it in there because I had to put it on paper to know exactly what I was doing and why I was doing it. And I did that on paper and then on Excel sheet, and then the the copy of the post was on Evernote. I don't even use Evernote anymore, but that's how it was for me. Paper, Excel, Evernote. So on Evernote, I would write the text because my VA at that time, she had that admin job. It was copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. She wasn't the strategy content creator that I have now. It was the copy paste, and that at that time, that's what I needed. I didn't really know strategy wise, okay, what I had to teach or if she was going to. At that time, that's what I needed, basically, right? I needed somebody to copy and paste what my content and schedule it. So Excel, paper, Excel, and Evernote. That's the three things that I use. I didn't use anything else. And now, because I have all that content already, I needed to store it somewhere. So I ditched Excel and Evernote, and I use Trello. So Trello is where all the content that I've ever created, ever written, that's where it's stored. And that's why I have another VA who does that for me, who takes everything that I've ever shared online in my group, my page, and she stores it on Trello for me so that we can have the inventory of everything that we ever have and we can search by keywords and things like that.
Right. So I want to pause right there. So that's a strategy. for those of you who think that you don't have any content, right? Linda just said she has a VA going to scrape the data from
Yeah.
her existing content, anything you've ever posted. And this is for those of you out here like me who who have that, like, oh, I don't know what to post. I mean, I invested in Linda's services multiple times,
Yeah.
right? And so um, for those of you who feel like, well, I'm not ready to hire a VA because I don't have the beast. I don't have everything in an Excel spreadsheet. No. If you have an online presence, if you ever shared anything, I mean, unfortunately, Instagram stories, unless you put it in a highlight, it's,
Yeah.
gone forever.
Right.
Well, not for technically forever. If you posted it through Facebook, or then that would mean you pre-schedule it. But right, if you posted it somewhere that could capture it, then you would have it. But if you're like a fly-by-night poster like me, or a spur of the moment poster like me, you can have a VA go back and scrape all your data and turn it into content. And that's what I'm doing right now. I mean, y'all know I'm very transparent with my business journey. I love showing up here. I love grabbing my phone, going live, doing a story, because I get in the moment and I get inspired. And right, this is something Linda and I had worked on. Right? Like, what? But I get like a hit of inspiration. I just want to go. And just like, yes, and turn that post into 32 pieces of content. And so this is a good segue for you, Linda, to introduce that freebie, because we've been talking about landing pages, email systems, and freebies all of coming into this week.
Fantastic.
And I want you to share your freebie and the journey that you've taken with this freebie, because right, you've had this freebie going for how many years now?
Almost 4 years now.
Right, and it still converts.
Yeah. It's
right.
I love that freebie. And that's really proof to show that you have to keep it simple. You have to keep it simple. Like, I'm very, very simple because I love simplicity, and because, like you said earlier, I'm a wife and I have 4 kids. I'm surprised they're not banging at the door right now, probably because I threatened them before I went live. But life gets busy. Earlier, I was looking for my headphones. I thought that they were right here. And then I was like, oh, I found them in the living room and they're all banged up. My kids just broke them. Like, life happens, right?
I know, I'm like, can you show the audience what happened to your headphones?
And again, they're not super fancy headphones. Otherwise, I would have been really, really mad. But yeah, they're just like regular
But that's
headphones.
what happens when you have young kids. I'm just being honest. Like, I stopped buying fancy shades and jewelry because my daughter used to break my shades.
That one is here. I don't know where the other one is. And they just appeared in the living room. And I didn't take them to the living room. They were in my office. And they find a way to crack the code to my office, and they come in and they get whatever they want. Anyways, just to say that you have to keep it simple. You don't have to get, oh, I have to have this fancy freebie. I have to have this fancy landing page. You have to have the essentials. That's, for me, that's what worked for me. I created that freebie. So my freebie is how to turn one simple Facebook post into 32 plus pieces of content. It's an 8-minute video where I show you by hand. I love pen and paper. Very simple. I show you by hand how I take one Facebook post and I show you how to create 32. Actually, in the example, I think it's 50 pieces of content from that one post. And that is a freebie that I've shared originally. I believe it was March 2018. So it's been and it converts at 50% because it's to the point. There's no video on my landing page. I don't even know if I have my picture on my landing page. I think I have changed my landing page once. maybe to change the wording or something like that, or to add bullet points. Maybe I didn't have bullet points before, and then I was like, oh, I need bullet points. But it hasn't changed my conversion rate. It's still at 50%. And uh, it's simple. It does the work.
Right.
That's what people need, and that's why I recommend repurpose your content. Repurpose what you think you've done once, and that is good, whether it's good or bad, I don't know. But you can reuse it. Please do reuse it. Save yourself some time and sanity, and repurpose your content. It takes you, it saves you a lot of time. I,
Right.
yeah, I repurpose my content about every 3 months, or I should say I reuse as is, actually. As
Wow.
is.
Okay. So I think that's a mind shift that the audience can use.
Yeah.
Right. We always think like, oh, repurpose, repurpose. You just said you just reuse it as is.
Yeah. Because I always say that I use 3 hacks for with my content. For, you can call it for productivity, for time saving, however you want to call it. But these are 3 hacks, 3 R's. One is to reuse, so as is. Don't change the picture, don't change the call to action, don't change nothing. I do that about every 3 months. So if you look at my Facebook posts right now, more or less, depending on if I'm in launch mode or things like that, the offers that I have going on, what I'm posting now is what I posted 3 months ago, more or less, depending on the season I'm in.
Right.
So that's reusing as is. Recycling, that's where you're like, oh man, I can't just change, you use the same thing as is. Maybe you had a new photo shoot, so you change the picture. Maybe it's a new call to action because you're offering a different offer. Then you change the call to action. That's recycling. But the main caption, the main copy stays the same. And then the
Right.
third R is repurposing. That's where you multiply your content. That's where you take it to the sky, to the next level. This is where you take that one post. Let's say my post was about um, the 3 R's, okay? The three R's
Right.
to,
Hello. Let's get messy
right.
on this one.
Let's take this example. The three hacks to create content, right? And I'd say reuse, repurpose, reuse, recycle, and repurpose. And I just, one sentence for each. Then what I'm going to do to repurpose that post, I'm going to do a video about that, right? Because I did a written post, I'm going to do a video about it. Then I'm going to write an email about it, same content, and I'm going to write an email, I mean a blog post about it. Facebook, Facebook post, I said, story, IG, all of those things, right? YouTube as well. I can do that. I actually have a YouTube video about that coming up soon, right? So I have already 6, 7 posts based on that one. Now I can take it to the next level. This is where I multiply things. Is that each section? So for example, reusing, I can create a post or go live or write an email or write or do a YouTube video or IGTV or story or reel about reusing
Right.
content only, right?
Right. Or you could even have your VA edit the video and just cut that piece out.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. You can absolutely do that. So that's even less work. You don't have to do anything new. You can use that part. If you want to be a little fancier and have your VA do a montage of all 3 of them and it's like a teaser, you can do that as well. Um,
Oh yeah,
for
carousel post. Look
for
at
a
all these
reel,
ideas.
something like that, and then you just point at the three
Yeah.
things. I don't do reels because, yeah, but that's to be
Right.
something that you
Right.
can do, and your VA can just cut, edit, and it's done. But yeah, you can do that for reuse, you can do that for repurposing, you can do that for recycling. And that's how you see that you can multiply it based on that one first post that I did, which was a written post about the 3 R's, the 3 hacks.
Oh, this is so good. Yeah. And let me see. Well, what would you say to someone who feels like content creation is a struggle and they weren't ready for Black Friday? What are some steps that they can take to maybe recoup or like
Yeah.
kind of take some action? Like maybe not even wait till next year. Like how can they
Yeah.
not feel so behind on creating promo content because this is a heavy buying season
Right.
and they feel like they've missed the boat. But I know you have a hack for, using content creation, like you said, just repurposing it. And then how
Hmm.
do they feel like they haven't missed the boat on the holiday sales
Yeah.
rush?
Yeah. So when it comes to content, there's so much content out there. Like people call it different things. I bring it down to five types of posts. Okay. And these types I share according to the reason, the goal, the season, and all of that. So I'm going to tell you out of these five, the ones that I would share right now if I wanted to, if I'm feeling behind and I want to tap into this season, this buying season. So the five posts are the introduction post, introduce yourself to your audience so they know or get reminded of who you are, what you do. The value post, also called authority post, educational post, is where you share your value, show your status as an expert, you share tips, things like that. Fun post, this is for engagement, but it's also for people to get to know you a little better. So it's not just, oh, she's the expert, but you want to be approachable too. Next is the market research post. This is where you ask your audience questions so that they can tell you exactly what they want. And last but certainly not least, the promotion post is where you sell. It's not about giving tips, it's about telling people to buy from you. Okay, so these are the five. Now, usually I would say you have 30 days, you will strategize. I'll show you how to put together your content calendar to have these five posts. Now, if it's, let's say we are in the last minute thing and we say, okay, for this week, and we want to capitalize on Black Friday, out of these five, the ones that I would want you to use right now is definitely the market research post, because the market research post is going to tell you exactly what your audience wants. So it's not going to be you scrambling and trying to say, oh, what content do I share out there? What do I put out there for Black Friday? Just ask. Ask your audience. Okay. They will tell you what they want, what they need right now. So
Right.
not just one market research, but you can do polls, you can do in stories, you can do it written, you can do a video. So different formats to get as much information as possible from the right people. So not just out there in the world and then everybody's giving you their answers, but to the right people, you get to ask them these questions like, what would be most helpful for you right now? Are you into templates? What kind of Black Friday offers are you looking for? Templates, scripts, video trainings, one-on-ones, group programs, workshop. Like they can tell you these things, so you don't have to try to figure it out on your own. That's what I did for my Black Friday offer.
Right.
Um, yeah, so asking them question, what do you find? What could we solve if you could solve one thing by the end of the week? What would it be? They're telling you exactly what they want this week, what problem they want solved this week. So asking them questions like that would at least direct you to, okay, this is what I need to put together. And again, we're going to keep it simple. It doesn't have to be a signature course, right? You want to be
Right.
able to provide something that is helpful for your audience, but that doesn't require you to overkill and, lock yourself in the basement for 3 days just to produce something.
Right. Right. And then this is also a hack that I may or may not have shared here before, but all of the gurus tell you to launch before it's ready.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you just launch the thing, well, right, first you do your market research, people say they want the thing,
Yeah.
and then you create the sales page where people can buy,
Yep.
and then you deliver the content after they've told you what they want and you've had some actual, you know,
Interest.
money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actual interest of people buying and investing.
That's right.
And I mean, I've we've done this with we when I said we, me and my team, we've done this for some of my higher ticket clients where
Mm-hmm.
client gets excited.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! I want to do this thing, and then it's like, okay, right? When you're a solopreneur, I mean, you can kind of create and test offers because you're not really breaking the bank as far as money is
Right.
concerned, but you are breaking the time bank.
Yeah.
Or like Helena said, right, you're going to lock yourself in a basement for 3 days to bang out this new offer, and then you launch to crickets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, not only did you lose time, but you also lost money because time and money, and then in that time wheel that I talk about, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
time versus money, and then ideas versus energy. And a lot of the times, we as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, we're blessed with a lot of ideas.
Yes.
That is the nature of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And then when it comes down to like launching, right? We launch this thing, and when it doesn't do as well as it should, then we lose energy.
Yeah.
It's like we're so
Yeah.
deflated. We're like, whoa, like what just happened?
Yeah.
And then it becomes this thing where we come into imposter syndrome. Like, do people not like me? Like, should I just shut down my business because everybody bought?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, right, girl, you and I, we've been there. We've been in these trenches.
Yes, yes. And
about 4 years together.
yes, I know, and it's still, it still happens. It still happens because things don't always go as planned. I mean, no
Right.
matter what offer you put out there. But one thing that I've learned is that you can't let that just slow you down. You trying to be as
Yeah.
objective as possible. You assess the situation, what happened, sometimes it's as something as simple as not enough people saw it, or people didn't know I was offering it, and it has nothing to do with you or your offer, right? But sometimes we go
Right.
into all dramatic, oh, nobody loves me, oh, I'm just gonna shut. Yeah, I mean, you have to be as, it's not easy, but we have to be as objective as possible when it comes to, okay, let's assess the situation, let's see what happened, and how we can improve for next time. Again, next time doesn't have to be perfect neither. It just has to be a little better than what we
Right.
just did.
Yeah. I mean, I can give a client example. So one of my clients, we had like the whole team working on this one offer and launched it. This was a full launch, like with emails, a webinar, a challenge. Like a full launch, right? And we're talking about copywriters and
Wow.
web page developers, like the whole nine. So
Yeah.
she has in this specific case, she had an offer that kind of went gangbusters when it was just her and a small team, and then she brought on people who were experts at I guess webinar launches, and we created this whole system around this one offer. And it's not that the offer wasn't great; it we had shifted the way she was selling.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
So she had sold herself, right? She did sales calls, and then she was able to make like a 5-figure, almost 6-figure launch in like 30 or 60 days.
Nice.
Right. So this was a really big launch, and she was trying to like amplify it. And because there were some mechanisms in there that were shifted,
Yeah.
it didn't go as well because I wouldn't say like the messaging was off, but we were able to troubleshoot what was off without giving away too much of like client secrets. But we were able to shift things because we had grabbed data. So honestly, we've been launching and relaunching this, using this whole thing on rinse and repeat for this whole entire year, as we've been like really honing on this one offer, because we knew that the offer wasn't off because we had the market research to determine that this was the offer that the people wanted. And honestly, all we did was tweak the sales page and tweak the marketing. So it wasn't the offer, it was the marketing.
Okay.
right? You had to speak to the pain point that the audience was having. So I don't know why we're out here on this, but and this is related to content because right when you throw content out there, when you poll your audience, or even the content that you're putting onto your social media pages or your email copy, right, if that's not resonating, right, you look at click rates, your
Mm-hmm.
you look at all your social media data, your email data, like, oh, did that copy resonate? Like, how many
Right.
opens did we have? Did we have any unsubscribes? That's how you really begin to optimize
Yeah.
your marketing and your content. And I know, right, Linda, you're a systems geek just like me, where we love, right, we love looking at the data to
Yeah.
make sure that everything's optimized. Because when we are creating something out here just to create something,
Mm.
that's when we lose steam. That's when we can fall into um,
Yeah.
I mean, right, this is that season where people kind of fall into depression. So we
Yeah.
can talk about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I know I've fallen into postpartum depression, and I
Mm-hmm.
know. I mean, I don't remember if you shared specifically, but I mean, I've been in a season where I just didn't feel like doing anything,
Right.
and having your content on autopilot. Um, it also, like when you do the content strategy the way that Linda presents it, where you create all of it in a batch setting. Like we used to have, like in Linda's membership, we used to have these Saturdays where we did sit down, and like she literally had us sitting down for a few hours and set a timer, Pomodoro style, and write out
Do the
our
work.
content.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it works, right? And
Yeah. It.
sometimes, you do have to lock yourself in a basement, but not for 3 days.
Yeah. Because you have a life, right?
A
And
couple
and
of
and
hours.
and and I mean, our kids have different ages, but I'm sure that's something that you had to do. And I think a lot of moms do not like the word sacrifice. But
Yeah.
life is full of sacrifices. I mean, the fact where you live, it's a sacrifice because maybe you're away from parents, right? Just like for you or my parents too, right? Everything is a sacrifice. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's just life. You can't have everything that you want. But at the same time, you have to be able to leverage these things. So, for example, for me, for my business, I've had I've had to shift. I've always been a night owl. Like when I was in college, when I was a kid, I would stay up all night just to stay up all night, right? But once I had kids, I had to shift and turn into a morning person because at the end of the day, I am exhausted because for
Yeah.
kids. But I know when my kids wake up, and now it seems like it's earlier and earlier, so I had to sacrifice, quote unquote, my own sleep so that I could go to Starbucks at 4:30 a.m. when they open, be the first client there, and work till 7 a.m. when I come back home to help with my husband to get the kids ready for school, and then take care of like when the girls were still at home with me, right? So those early hours for concentrated work to either batch content or plan content or do the sales page, that's what I had to do in order to be more comfortable now that I don't have to do that because I have the same content that I just reuse. And now new content, because I've done that so much that I can just be in the bathroom on the toilet and just be like, okay, I'm gonna write content right now. It gets easier and easier. But
Right.
for it to be easier and easier for any skill, you have to put in the work first, right? And I put in the work in the early hours because that's what worked for me. Um, so those were my 3 days locked in the basement metaphor. For me, that's what I had to do. Is like Starbucks, and that was before pandemic because after the pandemic, that Starbucks just closed down. But it
Oh
was
no.
4:30 till 7. That was prime time for me because Panera, I love Panera bread, but they open at 6 and that's not enough time. Starbucks, it was next to the highway, that's where all the truckers go. So it was they open at
Oh
4:30.
yeah.
Wake up at 4, take a shower, be there at 4:30, leave at 6:45, be home at 7, get the kids ready for school, and be a mom. But between
Right.
4:30 and 7, I was a content creator, 100%. Yeah, so that's
Love that. Love that. And I know we've talked a little bit about um, productivity heat maps before. Maybe not in the Boston Allowance, but for sure in the systems that serve group we have. But what Linda's talking about is you have to find your hours that you are productive.
yes,
And
yes,
like if you listen to what she said, she was naturally a night owl, and so she had to shift her her natural productivity. Well, I don't say it's your productivity. Maybe that was just the natural um, thing that you went with because it was good for you.
yeah,
Like the whole college thing, right? When you're in
yeah,
college, right? That's the schedule that you had, and just shifting it to when right, it overlaps with when you feel productive,
hmm,
and also when you have the environment that can
yes,
hold that container. And I know,
yes,
Linda, you mentioned before in like private conversations or maybe on your own Facebook lives that you didn't mention here, but I know you mentioned that the shower part was important because you're not a morning person.
yeah. I am not. I am not. Like right now that all the kids are at school, my most productive times are between 9 and 12, not 4 a.m. 4 a.m. I am asleep. Like for me to be awake, I have to take a shower. So to be at Starbucks at 4:30, I had to wake up at 4 and then take a shower. If I don't take a shower, even at 9 a.m., I'm not going to be productive. So
Right,
knowing that, that's my okay, I need to do this. And
right,
every day, like we were talking about stacking habits and all of that, you get to know yourself a little better. Like I know exactly what song to play on Alexa in the bathroom so that I am pumped in the bath in the shower, because there's shower okay and there's pumped shower too, right? So I know exactly
yes,
what to tell Alexa to play. I know, okay, I do my devotional before. I know if I have to do it on my phone or on my Bible. So all these things you get to know better, and not to turn into a robot, but it's just that it helps. It helps you to be as productive as you can, as efficient as you can. And again, life happens, kids happen, kid break things and all of that. But there are things that you can control that will put you in a certain mood, in a certain mindset, that you are ready to seize the day. You're ready to do what you have to do. You're ready to let the productivity come in and create content, or to
yeah,
talk to a friend on Be Live and on Clubhouse, right? So little things that you can
right.
do like that.
And so the other thing that I wanted to add to that piece is a word that God dropped in my spirit in a planning session, no less, that I had on Sunday this week. And God showed me like this powerful word on worship and how it shifts atmospheres,
Yes.
right? That music shifts atmospheres. And I'll probably go live later and drop it in the group here and just read the prophetic word that was dropped into my spirit. But
Mm.
what Linda's talking about, right? You've heard like natural productivity methods, but this is also a supernatural productivity method,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
A regular shower, right? There's scientific evidence about how shower wakes you up. Like Tony Robbins talks about it all the time. Then Mel Robbins, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mm.
She talks about how the cold shower invigorates, and there's a whole science behind that.
Right.
I mean, even the Asian culture, you get into the hot tub, the ofuro, like the super hot tub, and then you do shock therapy, and then you jump into an ice cold bath. Or even if you've been
Yes.
in sports, right, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, fun fact:
Absolutely.
Linda is an ex-football player. So, right, right, when you go to therapy, right? Anyway, so the shower already has natural effects on
Yep.
productivity. But when you add that music, a special type of music, your pump, right? Like she said, you turn your shower into a pumped up shower.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You know.
absolutely. It is. And because you have to know, like in the morning, like there's certain things like I don't look at my phone before I do my devotional and all of that because I want to be prepared. And I you will see the difference. You will absolutely see the difference on your days because if the situation in the natural doesn't change, let's say today, tomorrow is the same amount of money in your bank account, same, your kids are still the same, you're still waiting on something. But if you start the day with the emails, you start the day with the problem, right? Or if you start the day with, okay, the worship song and all of that, and in the word, it's different. The problems are still here, but your attitude and the things that you focus on is just totally different. 100%.
Amen to that. And so I wanted to end on that note. And so we've been going a full 45 minutes here on Facebook. Even though you can't see me, I'm here. So what we're going to do right now is end the conversation here on Facebook and go ahead and take questions from the audience in Clubhouse. And if you want to ask your questions live, great, go ahead and join us over in the Boss Up Lounge on Clubhouse. And you can be in the audience to ask us any questions that you have pertaining to the topics that we're going to talk about. So next week, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. We're going to be talking about calendar management, right? Linda, which this conversation wasn't even planned, but God knows is what we were talking about as far as how she created like just calendar management and getting your calendar really straightened out before the new year. And this is important, right? A lot of people are like, oh, well, the holidays are busy. Yes, but that doesn't mean you get to, right? Life is going. Life is always going, especially if you have kids. I mean, my kids are adults now, but when I created the calendar system that I created, it was when I was a busy mom working 70 to 100-hour weeks. And this is shift work. I would work morning shifts and night shifts and weekends. And my kids had private school that I had to drive them to. They had sports that they had to go to. My son, I wouldn't say he's special needs. He had learning issues, some challenges, whatever. And I had to take him to tutoring. So all of that, I had to have a super robust calendaring system. And that's what I'm going to share with you guys next week. So stay tuned for that. And so for you guys on Facebook, we're going to end now and hop over into Clubhouse next time. And look, I'm talking to the camera like you guys can see me. But come over to Clubhouse.
Come over to Clubhouse.
Answer your questions live. And as always, if you have a question that pops up after you watch the live in the group, go ahead and tag me in a comment below and I can answer your questions. And if you tag Linda too, she can go ahead and answer your questions as well. So thank you, Facebook, for being here. We're going to hop over to Clubhouse. See you next time. Bye.